Promising Young Woman, this is a film starring Carey Mulligan that is currently on demand. She plays a 30-year-old med school dropout who is hellbent on getting revenge on those responsible for the rape and ultimate suicide of her best friend. Before I tell you what I think of it, I do need to throw the caveat out there. This is not a movie for everyone at all. This is a deeply disturbing film. In fact, I've never been this uncomfortable watching a movie. And there will be those people who are going to say, I couldn't bring myself to watch it, or I started watching it and I had to turn it off. And to be honest, I can't begrudge you for it. It is a brutal, brutal film to sit through. With that said, Promising Young Woman is the best movie of 2020. It is one of the best films of its kind since Mary Harron brought us American Psycho back in 2000. It is one of the most disturbing, best character dramas, character studies that I have ever seen. This is a film that I think will gain a cult following and will become a classic. It hit at the right time. It is disturbing in all the right ways. It is effective in all the right ways. This is a brilliant film and will probably end up being my favorite movie of 2020. I adore this film. I'll start off with the obvious, and it's what everyone's talking about, and it's what everyone should be talking about. I just saw this film, so maybe I'll go back and maybe rescind this statement. Carey Mulligan may very well give the greatest performance I've ever seen by an actress in a film in this movie. She is... there's no adjectives. There's really no words. There's no superlatives I can use to properly describe how flat out incredible she is in this movie. She's a great actress. You've seen her in stuff before. She was in Education, which she got nominated for an Oscar for. She was in the Wall Street sequel. She was in Inside Llewyn Davis, the Coen Brothers movie. But here, this is a performance Meryl Streep wishes she could have gave. This is next level, all-time amazing performance. I don't know if she's going to win an Academy Award for it. You know, sometimes this is not really an Academy-type drama because it is so dark, but I don't care. She deserves it. I'll send her a statue if I have to because she is stunning in this movie. Emerald Fennell is the name of the woman who directed this, and boy, this movie's well shot. It is so well shot. It's so well directed. The entire movie, my fists were like this, watching this whole thing. I mean, you are on edge. You are uncomfortable from the very first shot, and the movie never lets up. There is just an aura of dread throughout this whole film, and there should be. It's properly paced and properly uncomfortable. Like, there's not a moment where I felt like they were pushing it too far. This whole movie, there's just this cloud of uncomfortability that comes with it, and it made me enjoy the movie even more. I like being uncomfortable watching a film. I think it's important for a film to challenge you, to not, insult your intelligence, to not assume that you're stupid, to not spoon feed you things. This movie doesn't, and it's all the better for it. The supporting cast in this is all great. There's a lot of famous people in this movie. I mean, Clancy Brown, Jennifer Coolidge, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, Adam Brody, Allison Brie, Alfred Molina, like they all show up in this movie and they're all really good. Bo Burnham, good for Bo Burnham. Bo Burnham was making YouTube videos in his parents' house in 2007. This dude's like co-starring in feature films now. Good for him, and he gives a very good performance in this. This character that Carey Mulligan helped create is going to be a very controversial character because you, throughout the first half of the movie, you're with her. You're like, you know what? This is a woman who has been through so much trauma, been through so much awfulness. You want the best for her. You want her to figure out her life, but there's a great moment in the middle of the movie. There's a great scene in the middle of the film between her and Molly Shannon where Molly Shannon plays the mother of Carey Mulligan's best friend who was raped and since committed suicide. And she tells her it's best for her if you move on. And after that, Carey Mulligan's character becomes one that you're desperately trying to root for, but there's those moments where it's like, man, ooh, this is tough. This is tough to watch. I mean, she does some deeply dark, deeply disturbing things. You go the full circle. You go from rooting for her to being on edge till at the very end, you root for her again. It's such an amazing performance. It's such an amazing character. It's one of the best characters I've ever seen in a movie. Like, just thinking about how I felt scene by scene watching this movie, how I felt about this woman, you run the gambit of emotions. That's character development right there. That's what people don't do anymore in movies. That's why I'm so critical of films, because I know how good movies can be. I know how well written movies can be. I know how well directed movies can be. I know how well acted movies can be. But a lot of times people just don't care. A lot of times people don't put in the effort to make something good. And you have a film here that, I mean, there is not a single strand of film that felt like it was wasted when you watch this movie. It is not a flawless movie. I can't call it a masterpiece. There are a few minor things, and they are minor, that I didn't quite like. One, and again, this is like the biggest nitpick ever, but this movie is such an immersive experience. I mean, you are like in this world with this woman for the whole hour and 55 minutes. One thing that always takes me out of a movie, though, is when a character has a social media profile and they can't get the rights to use Facebook. So it's like, I think in this movie, it's Friender, and you just watch it and you're like, okay, oh yeah, that's right, I'm watching a movie. And again, minor complaint, but for a film that, like I said, is so immersive, for that brief second, you're like, oh yeah, all right, I'm out of this, and then I'm back into it. There are those brief moments, and they are very brief, but mainly near the end of this movie, where Carey Mulligan's character becomes a little bit too cunning. The final kind of twist, which is a very effective twist, and a twist that a lot of people are going to talk about, and a twist that a lot of people are going to give major praise to, it's pretty out there in terms of its elaborateness. I'm willing to forgive it because the movie does establish that she has thought about this trauma every day for, I believe it's about 7-8 years. And so it would kind of make sense why something like this would ultimately end up happening to her. I don't know if I can watch this movie again. And if I did, I don't know if I would like it as much because it's so brutal. And it should be brutal, like I said, but to me, like, the best movies of all time are the ones that I can watch over and over again. I don't know if I can do that with this because it is so disturbing, and because there's so many great twists in this movie. I mean, there's so many moments where it completely changes on a dime, and you're like, oh, okay, this is where we're going now. And that might not hit you as hard watching it a second or a third time. As a cinematic experience, it's not a 10 to me because it doesn't have, like I said, the rewatchability factor. It is so deeply disturbing, but I thought back to everything this movie was trying to do, and I can't think of a single thing that it failed at. It kept me on the edge of my seat. I'm going to recommend it to people with that caveat, telling them it is really disturbing. It has one of the greatest performances I have ever seen on screen. It does everything it wanted to do. It accomplishes everything it wanted to do. And for that reason, I would feel guilty not giving this a 10 out of 10. And that's what I'm doing. This is officially the first 10 out of 10 rating that I have given since I rebooted this channel back in May. And it's a movie that deserves it, man. This is my favorite movie of 2020. I'm really happy about this. Like, I've been really exhausted with the amount of mediocrity that I've had to deal with, not just on film, but in sports, everywhere. And it's like, you watch something like this, as brutal as it is, and it is a brutal movie, I get a high off of watching a great film, no matter the subject matter, no matter the story, no matter who's in it. And this is more than a great film. This is damn near a perfect film. So that will do it for this review. Let me know if you watched this movie. Let me know what you thought of it. I really do want to know what people thought. This is one of the, because I know I say that, but honestly, this time, tell me what you thought of this movie. Dish out the $20 to watch it on demand. It's absolutely worth that full price payment. You can follow me on Twitter at Castellani 2014. I haven't tweeted in forever, so I don't know. Maybe I won't ever tweet again. I don't know. But click that like button. Click that subscribe button. Let's get those watch hours up. Promising Young Woman. The first 10 out of 10 on this updated channel.